Shomer Yisrael, Shomer Yisrael, Shema Shelis Yisrael, Shema Shelit Yisrael, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, האומרים שמע ישראל, שומר ישראל, שומר ישראל, שמור שליס ישראל, שמור שלית ישראל, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, האומרים שמע ישראל. נלדה ימה ילם, ayam Diladam ayam What time does the funeral procession leave the house? Does anyone know? 10:30. Okay, בסדר. Okay, בסדר גמור. So, Chevra, there's at least 270 chayalim that were killed. And unfortunately, we know that that's not the final number. Not Chalila, that there's going to be more, because there's going to be a victory, B'ezrat Hashem. We'll wipe out these evil, barbaric Yamach Shemamim from the face of this world. But because of this Metzius that we're in, the numbers are only relevant for the moment that you say them. One of the things that I'm most proudest in the chinuch that my wife and I have given our children, probably the mamash, one of the things most than anything is that, when we speak about like tzaddikim, so hopefully that goes into them and it means something to them, and there's pictures of tzaddikim in the house that they see. But can the Chaver in the back, can you guys come closer? Do you mind? Yosef, you're okay. Just the Chaver, just Serge, can you guys come closer today, please? But the one thing, and I've spoken about this before, that fills my heart with so much pride, is that my children are in awe of Chayalim. Not just now. They're in awe of Chayalim. Whenever we pass the Machsum, since my girls are little girls, Abba, tireh, look, Chayal. You know, the holiness of Chayalim is that they don't even think of themselves as holy. They're willing to give their whole life, and they don't even think there's anything so special on a holy level about that. I shared with you once the story. It was Shabbos in Cape Town for Shabbos. Big Shabbos, I don't remember the context anymore. My mind is like starting to get all fogged up. It was some, I don't know, conference or Shabbos of Achdut. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was the Shabbos, no, it was the Shabbos part. Maybe Sinai and Daba. I don't remember. One of those. I was there, I was also to be there a few times. I don't remember which one it was. And Friday night I was invited to, after I did the davening in this main shul there, so I was, so many people, they told me, it's not always like this. I said, I don't care. Right now it's like this, Right now it's like this. And there was a beautiful Yid that was there, an Israeli guy. Never forget him. His name was Rom. And I said to him, after davening, are you coming to the meal by the rabbi? I said to him, actually, I said, Matal Sepo, he's Israeli. I said, Matal Sepo. He's like, I'm traveling, I'm biking. He had a motorbike. I'm biking from here to Eretz Yisrael, back home. Now, he just left a very elite unit. And, some people go out and, go and trip face in Guatemala or I don't know where, Peru. This guy had this Indian of going to all these abandoned villages throughout Africa with a Degel Yisrael on the back of his motorcycle. So he said, I'm riding from here to Eretz Yisrael. I'm like, you realize that, that's months and also dangerous. He's like, Achi, todefo shirati. You know where I served, right? So I said, okay, you want to come with me? Come with me to the rabbi's house for the meal, right? Big meal we were doing there. He's like, Ma ktovet. I said, I have no idea. I asked one of the people that was hosting me too. He said, so they gave us the address. I said, Ganivgosh otcha shama. So I understood he was gonna, Sele. Took his bike there. And at the table, one of the rabbis asked, maybe I asked the question, I don't know. I said, can anyone here, I want everyone here to say one thing about what they think Hashem thinks of them. Tell me one thing you think Hashem thinks of you. So everyone got to saying, everyone had a vort or whatever, some Torah, whatever they knew from Torah how to describe such things. And he got to his turn and he looked so embarrassed. And I said, lama ta mitbayesh? So he said, bless you. So he said to me, אחי, אני בא ממושב כזה חילוני, בקושי בכיפור היינו, בבית כנסת. I come from such a, distant place, like I barely Yom Kippur even. So, he said to me, I don't think I ever, my connection to God, I don't think, I'm so embarrassed to even say it. God is probably disgusted with me. I haven't really, what could I say I've done for God? What God has done for me, what I think of it. So I said to him in Hebrew, and the Chaver, they didn't understand. I said to him, תגיד לי, אתה מטומטם? No, I said to him, אתה מטומטם, נכון? אמרת, קוראים לך רום, אבל אתה מטומטם. רום אמור להיות an elevated name, right? Ram ben Nisan. He said, מה אתה אומר? למה אתה אומר את זה? אז תגיד לי עכשיו איפה שירת. He didn't tell me before. I said, tell me, where'd you serve? So he told me where he served. served in an area, in a unit. I asked him, how old are you? And he said, 25. I said, what? I said, when did you get out of the army? He said, last month. I said, I don't think it's because of Hesder. If you're 25 and you just got out of the army now, and you were in the unit that you were in, you were willing to be killed every single day so that I could live in Eretz Yisrael. And you think that you don't have anything to share at this discussion? I sit here before you as a rabbi and someone that gives shiurs and, so to speak, is in the world of learning and what we call Torah and mitzvahs. I bow my head before you. I started bawling. He had to leave. It was too much for him. Before he left, I said, Tishma, יש לי הופעה מחר בלילה בבית הכנסת הגדול פה בקייפטאון. תבוא, תתפלל איתי מחר בלילה. Come daven with me. And there was this big show, Motzei Shabbos in Cape Town. I don't remember the name of the shul. And I didn't see him there. So I was talking about him, without mentioning names, to the crowd. And then after the show, I basically told them how much I became more Jewish last night here in Cape Town. So they're all going to think that I was going to tell them about how much the locals changed my life. And I told them about this guy without mentioning his name. And there was a long line of people afterwards waiting, to say hello. This is before the selfies, so probably just there were actually CDs back then. They went on to CDs. Remember CDs? They went to sign a CD. Long line. It was hours, and then who's at the end of the line? Rome is at the end of the line. And he's crying. And I'm starting to cry. And he told me, it's one of these old shuls that, the way it's built there, like a lot of the European shuls, and where it's the women's section is on another koma. So he sat in the back of this, so I couldn't see him. And he wasn't around anyone. He just cried and cried and cried. And we stayed in touch for a bit. Unfortunately, we lost touch. I have to find him again. Tafka today, I would love to find him. Actually, I'm sure I won't be able to find him today, because I'm sure he's down south. No, I have no doubt he's down south. But the holiness of the Chayal is that he has no concept of how holy he is. A lot of people say, oh man, I'm such, they know they're holy, but they think they have to say how small they are. He wasn't even saying how small he was just really saying, Mani. So, it's you don't need me to tell you how much of a serious time we're in right now. But our way must be channeled through the tzaddikim and through the Torah of understanding what korbanot are about and the kedusha of chayalim, the holiness of the soldiers, of the Shomrei Yisrael. So, what I wanted to do today, we're not going to get through all of it. Just a few examples, a few seifim of going through the Zohar and some Gemaras, understanding what happens to these tzaddikim when they leave this world, and what a shmira it can be for us to connect to their schut of their neshamas. Is the air on? I'm very flushed anyway.
It's lower than 2 degrees.
Thank you. Sorry, Reb David. I'm sorry if it gets a little cold in here. Okay. This was a compilation put together that I saw that I felt is very appropriate for us today. Chalalei Marachot Yisrael nimtzaim b'darga gvoha began Eden. When you look at the eyes, when you look into the eyes of all these pictures, of all these tzaddikim, I want you to remember this teaching, okay? Chalalei Marachot Yisrael, these Yidden that are killed in the wars, they're in a very high level in Gan Eden. And Bichlal, Yehudim shene'ergu al Kedushat Shmo Yitbarach, any Jew that's killed on the Kedusha of Hashem Yitbarach, Zochim le'agia le'darga gvoha biyoter began Eden. Because the Gemara in Baba Basra says, Makom sheharugei malchut omdim, en kol bria yechola la'amod b'mechitzatam. The place up there in heaven that's reserved for those that were killed b'shem Hashem. No bria, no creature can understand, can be in that place. It's a completely different heichal. It's a different place. יש בהם קדושה גדולה, הזוהר הקדוש, מתאר את דרגתם הגבוהה של הרוגי המלכות. The Zohar in Bereshit says they have tremendous holiness. ונוסע מהיכל זה ונכנס בהיכל רביעי, ושם כל אלו אבלי ציון וירושלים, עם כל אלו שנהרגו על ידי עמים אחרים. You know what's happening to these tzaddikim that were killed? They're going from chamber to chamber, and they're going into a chamber, and now they're greeted by the Piasetzner Rebbe. They go to another chamber, they're greeted by Rebbe Akiva. They go to another chamber, they're greeted by the Harugim of Churban Abayit. They're all in the same chamber, all these tzaddikim. כי אלו שנהרגו על ידי עמים אחרים, יש בהם קדושה גדולה, עד שנשמתם עולה ל... Now this is, I looked for this. There's a few different options of what this Rashi Tevos could be. Because it depends on how you learn out this farm. But whatever it means mala mala. וממשיכים אורות הגבוהים שבהיכל זה, and there's such light. There's such light in these chambers. These tzaddikim, it's true, we're crying because their lives were taken from us, and their families are suffering, and their children and their spouses are sitting shiva. In some cases, there's no one sitting shiva because the whole family was wiped out. But just know that these neshamas are sitting up there in these high chambers where there's only pure light. V'hem zochim bahem, and they merit this light. V'gam avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim mechubarim imahem. All the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem are connected to them. 3. דמויותיהם של חללי ישראל חקוקים על לבושו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. The imagery, the dmut of the character, the shape, the tzura of each one of these neshamas is engraved on the garment of Hashem. בהמשך דברי הזוהר מובא, ומשיח בגן, דוד נכנס להיכל זה ולובש לבוש, ובו רשומים צרותיהם של כל אלו שנהרגו על ידי הגויים. Mashiach has a garment. When Mashiach's coming, we're going to see like this miraculous garment. And the garment is made up of all the different surot, all the different faces of each person that was killed at Kiddush Hashem. That's the fabric of the garment. אחר כך ממשיך המשיח אל הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונחקקת צורתו של ההרוג לתוך לבוש המלכות של הקדוש ברוך הוא. And then however we understand this, the levush malchut of Hashem Yitbarach is made up of the same fabric as well. רבותינו מבארים כי את לבוש זה עתיד הקדוש ברוך הוא ללבוש כדי להתנקם בגויים. Tzaddikim teach us that it's this levush that God will adorn, He will put on when it's time for what we spoke about on Monday, revenge on the Rishaim. ועל כך נאמר ידין בגויים מלא גוויות. כלומר, הקדוש ברוך הוא ידון את הגויים בלבוש מלא גוויות. Isn't this amazing? Doesn't it feel good to finally understand something you said every single Shabbos of your life and had no idea what it meant? No, this is different. Yadin bagoyim male gviyot, we say in the end of Av Rachamim Huya, right? Before Ashrei, before Musaf. We say at the end, does Sfard say this? No. You don't say this. Yadin bagoyim male gviyot machatz rosh al eretz rabba minachal baderech ishte al ken yarim rosh. That's how we end that Av Rachamim, right? Yadin bagoyim male gviyot. He'll come judgment with all the nations that gave service to Am Yisrael, malek gviot, filled with bodies. What bodies? Filled with every chayal, filled with every nirtzach, filled with the tzura of every single individual that suffered at the hands of enemies because they're Jewish. Daniel Pearl's surah is chakuk in the lavush of Hashem Yisbarach. Can you imagine when you're going to say it this Shabbos, what it's going to feel like? Yadin bagoy malik vias. Now here, this is a very important one. And we should be saved from the following. There are a lot of different things people are saying, hopefully not too much. But obviously, this rave happened on Shabbos and Simchas Torah, right? I want you to know that anyone that says anything negative about anything that has to do with what happened in that should be ashamed of themselves ad omek hashamayim. Af Yehudi shechata v'ne'erag al Kiddush Hashem. A Jew that sinned, maybe he was in the act of sinning, but he was killed al Kiddush Hashem, zocheh ledarga gvoa. They merit this high level. Af Yehudim shelo zachu lekayem mitzvot bechayehem ulekadesh et Hashem. Jews that didn't merit to keep mitzvahs and to mekadesh Hashem in their life. Zochim leagia ledargot gvohot ba'olam haba. They merit to reach high levels in the next world. I want you to know, I knew some of the people. One that I'm close, I'm friendly with the family. I know what kind of neshamas went to this rave. And another friend of mine wrote the deepest, she's Leah, our friend Leah Sand from the Moshav Mevumadin. She wrote the deepest thing after seeing the atrocity. She said, I can't believe that I didn't do enough with all the love and beauty that I got from Yiddishkeit to be able to turn on all the youth, right? Because they're searching. What are they searching for at these places? What are they searching for? They want to feel alive. They want to feel love. They want to feel the beat that gets them going. And they're searching for it. Don't be small-minded and say, I'm starting to kasha these things. Do you understand what I'm saying? Harambam Beigeres Ashmad Maftiach Kach. And the Rambam writes like this. Ish sheizakeu hakel la'alot b'ma'ala elyona kazot. Anyone that God, he says, mezakeu, that God merits them to reach such a level being killed, al Kiddush Hashem. Klomar shenelag agudat Hashem. Afilu hayu avonotav kmo Yeravam ben Nabat v'chaverav hu me'olam haba. The Rambam says this. Do you know what it means when he says even someone that their avonos were like Yeravam ben Nabat? Do you know who Yeravam was? Think of his name for a second. Yerav Am. All the tzaddikim say. What unfortunately he was able to cause was Chilul Hashem me'in kamo. The Rambam, I'm not saying right now, quoting you someone from the last few, the Rambam says, even someone that their avonot are filled like Yeravam ben Nabat, they go to that same place as well. And I think this is such an important nekuda that we have to take into consideration and think about right now.
It really says, who wants to be there?
I want you to know another thing. Some of the footage that I saw from them trying to find cover, these ravers, do you know what they were saying? Shema Yisrael. Go down to number 8. Rabbeinu Yonah meva'er ketzad yachol kol adam leagia ledarga nizgava zo shel Kiddush Hashem. So now that we're here, okay, Rabbeinu Yonah explains this, how each person can reach such an exalted level of Kiddush Hashem like we're speaking about over here. B'sha'ah she'adam koreh kriyat shema. At the moment that a person is reading kriyat shema, u'megiah lapasuk ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol ma'odecha ya'aleh al levavo ma she'amru razal afilu notel et nafshecha. That even if God is choosing to remove your soul from being physically present in this world, we learn this deeply. We also saw this by the Tzedel Katan, by the Nam Elimelech. One year we went to Har Herzl, sat by the Kvarim of Chalalei Tzahal. I don't know. I think you were there, right? Alon was there. I forget where. Noach was there. We sat by the Chayalim HaKadoshim in Har Herzl, and we learned this exact piece. Afilu notel et nafshecha v'yeshabed et nafsho l'Hashem yitbarach. And you submit your soul to Hashem. V'yigmor b'machshavto limsor nafsho k'dushat Hashem yitbarach u'le'areg alav. Saying at this moment, Hashem, I would give my life if that's what it needed. That's what was needed. V'techashev lo l'tzdaka ki'ilu neherag al k'dushat Hashem. And that'll be considered for you as if you went through it. And now, for the last one, that is very important and it'll give us a lot of nechama right now. And I hope every person shares this if they ever have to go to any of these shivas. Harugei malchut einam margishim et tsar hamita. When you are amongst those that are killed in the name of Hashem, you don't feel any pain of the death. Yadua b'shem המהר"ם מרוטנברג כי כל מי שמוסר עצמו על קידוש השם אינו מרגיש שום כאב וייסורים בשעה שנהרג השם ישראל. Which means we have to understand these eyes that we're seeing, that we're looking at, that we all have to look at deep, deep inside. These eyes, for some reason, Hashem Yisbarach said, here. At the time of their removal from this world, they experienced no pain. And I want you to remember that. Emunas Tzadikim means exactly that. We're hearing of atrocities worse than World War II. These neshamas are in the Heichal with Mashiach. They're already formed in the levush of Hashem. Mashiach's garments, Hashem's garments. They're in those garments.
Is there another dog that was around Saint of Kiddush? Was in our land?
I'm sorry?
Is it a higher level because they were killed like this in Eretz Kodesh and the Shoah was in Europe?
I have no idea, but I wouldn't even get into that. I don't know. Based on what we saw, no. I don't. Choliot. But they're in the Heichal with those that were killed anywhere in the world, right? But their Kiddush Hashem is loud and clear. The question is, what's ours? Right? What's ours? Like we just learned from Rav Kook and Shul, what's going to be with the way that we're going to live after we wipe out face of evil from this earth in that region? What's going to be with us? How are we going to look? What are we going to look like? What are we going to act like? How are we going to respond? What's going to be our concept of Yiddishkeit? What's going to be our real concept of how we view the privilege of being alive and to Mekadesh Hashem? What's going to be, what's the holiness of our life going to look like? Those of us that are privileged to live here in Eretz Yisrael. And here I will go back to you. Specifically us that are living in Eretz Yisrael. What's our concept of living in Eretz Yisrael going to be like? What is it going to be like? So the schus of these Kedoshei Elyon, Amar L'Tzaroteinu Dai, they are all up there with anyone that's ever been killed al Kiddush Hashem in a chamber of absolute, infinite, pristine light. Or, Vehem Zochim Ba. They could have been dancing, smoking, tripping, doing God knows what at that rave, and then a second later they're with Rabbi Akiva and with Rabbi Yishmael Kohen Gadol. What do we know? What do we know? That is not our business. We learn about it. It gives us koyach. But for us down here, what is it going to be like? And the time of davening to Hashem to try to please explain to me, so what does that mean? Like right now, each person should just do more hitbodedut than ever and ask Hashem Yisbarach, I know I have to up my game. And I know, Baruch Hashem, that I'm busy all day long with chasadim and helping things and whatnot. But Lamaisa, Hashem, reveal to me as clear as possible. What does it mean that my life literally becomes a walking experience of Kiddush Hashem in this world? On a much greater level. And whenever we talk about a tzaddik, we say, Schusi again aleinu vel kol am Yisrael. Anytime you mention the name of a chayal, you say the same exact thing. Schusi again aleinu vel kol Yisrael. Bifrat, our neighbor. You know, this neighbor of ours that's being laid to rest. My family goes back with him 35 years back. His uncle Giora was my counselor when I was a little kid in a camp. Me and Arigan Tavnik went to the same camp. We were little kids. Giora, the doctor, lives here. His grandmother, Ruthie, was my English teacher in high school. You have a lot of keshers to the family. There's not a house in Am Yisrael doesn't have a kesher to someone. And the schus of us realizing what Kedusha is, every chayal should stay protected, to be a walking Kiddush Hashem here in this world, to have the schus to wipe out more and more of evil and come back home safely. And when we look at them, we realize our lives can never be the same. Ever. Teh nishmasam tzura b'tzura chaim.